Welcome to our channel, where we uncover the untold stories shaping our world today. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our deep dives into global issues, fascinating cultures, and inspiring stories from around the globe. In today's video, we're embarking on an eye-opening journey. Our planet is home to over 190 nations, each with unique histories and challenges. But while some thrive, others teeter on the edge of collapse. Imagine once vibrant nations, economies booming, societies flourishing, now reduced to crises marked by poverty, conflict, and environmental devastation. From the economic despair of Sri Lanka to the sinking paradise of the Maldives, these are not just distant tales, but urgent realities that demand our attention. Stay with us as we explore 10 countries facing extraordinary challenges, revealing the causes, the struggles, and the paths forward. This journey is about more than understanding. It's about connecting, empathizing, and being part of a global community that cares. So grab a seat, stay tuned, and don't forget to like this video to support our work, share it with friends, and, most importantly, subscribe to our channel for more stories that matter. Let's dive in. Sri Lanka, the broken jewel of the Indian Ocean. Sri Lanka was once praised as the jewel of the Indian Ocean, celebrated for its booming economy, abundant biodiversity, and world-class tourist destinations like Sigiriya Rock Fortress, the tea plantations in Nuwara Eliya, and the stunning beaches of Marissa. But beneath this picturesque image lies a nation in turmoil. Once a middle-income country on the rise, Sri Lanka is now struggling with its worst economic crisis since independence in 1948. How did this happen? Corruption, poor financial management, and an over-reliance on tourism, which was decimated by the 2019 Easter bombings and the COVID-19 pandemic. The government's decision to ban chemical fertilizers overnight in 2021 crippled the agricultural sector, plunging farmers into debt and causing food shortages. Adding fuel to the fire, Sri Lanka borrowed billions from China to fund ambitious infrastructure projects, many of which are now empty, white elephants. Hambantota Port, for instance, was handed over to China after the government defaulted on the loans. What's life like for ordinary Sri Lankans today? Picture families skipping meals, children dropping out of school because they can't afford books or transportation, and hospitals running out of essential medicines. Entire neighborhoods are plunged into darkness due to electricity cuts as the government scrambles to ration fuel. The question remains, can Sri Lanka break free from this vicious cycle of debt and despair, or will it lose its status as the crown jewel of South Asia? Myanmar, from hope to despair. The opening up of Myanmar in the early 2010s marked a historic moment. Foreign investment poured in, the streets of Yangon bustled with new businesses, and tourism flourished as visitors marveled at Bagan's ancient temples and in the lake's floating gardens. But all of that hope was shattered in February 2021. A military coup erased a decade of progress, plunging the country into darkness once again. Thousands took to the streets to demand democracy, only to face brutal crackdowns. The internet was cut, curfews imposed, and dissent silenced through violence. What is life like under military rule? Imagine a world where even stepping out of your home feels like a risk. More than 1.5 million people have been displaced by violence, and poverty levels have doubled. Economic sanctions have isolated Myanmar from the global economy, leaving millions jobless. Small businesses are closing down, international companies are pulling out, and the country's currency is in freefall. And let's not forget the Rohingya crisis, which remains unresolved. Hundreds of thousands of Rohingya Muslims live in overcrowded refugee camps, their future hanging by a thread. As the world watches in horror, Myanmar's struggle raises a chilling question. Can democracy ever take root in a country where hope seems to vanish overnight? Afghanistan collapsed through isolation. For 2 decades, Afghanistan depended heavily on international aid to keep its economy afloat and to rebuild its war-torn infrastructure. But when the Taliban seized power in 2021, the world turned its back. What does this mean for the Afghan people? Overnight, billions of dollars in foreign aid were frozen, and international sanctions further crippled the economy. Today, more than 90% of Afghans live below the poverty line, and millions face starvation. Women and girls, once encouraged to pursue education and careers, are now banned from attending school beyond the 6th grade and barred from most forms of employment. Their voices have been silenced. The ripple effects of this isolation are devastating. Hospitals lack basic supplies. Banks can't provide cash. Farmers unable to access seeds or tools are abandoning their fields, further exacerbating the food crisis. Meanwhile, the rise in opium production fuels corruption and funds extremist groups, creating an environment ripe for further instability. Without intervention, Afghanistan risks becoming a global black hole of poverty, extremism, and despair. What will it take for the world to act? Pakistan, a cascade of crises. Pakistan, a nuclear power and a country of over 240 million people, is on the brink of collapse due to an unrelenting series of disasters. The floods of 2022 were catastrophic, submerging entire villages, washing away crops, and killing over 1,700 people. The economic losses exceeded $30 billion, and the scars of that tragedy still linger today. But nature isn't the only enemy. Pakistan's economy is drowning in debt, with inflation skyrocketing and the Pakistani rupee plummeting in value. Basic necessities like wheat and sugar have become unaffordable for millions. The political climate is equally grim. Prime ministers come and go amid allegations of corruption, protests erupt across the nation, and military influence looms large over civilian governance. Add to this energy shortages and water scarcity, and it's a perfect storm of crises. What's at stake? Pakistan's stability is critical for the region. It borders Afghanistan, Iran, India, and China, 4 geopolitically sensitive countries. A collapse here could ripple across South Asia, causing security issues, migration crises, and economic disruptions. Is there hope for a turnaround? Or is Pakistan heading toward a breaking point that the region cannot afford? Yemen, war and famine. Yemen was once known as the land of the fabled Queen of Sheba, a nation with rich traditions and stunning landscapes. Today, it's a living nightmare. The civil war that began in 2015 has dragged the country into the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Factions backed by foreign powers, Saudi Arabia and Iran, turn Yemen into a battleground for their proxy war. As bombs rain down, civilians bear the brunt. Over 4 million people have been displaced, forced to flee their homes with nothing but the clothes on their backs. And the famine? It's gut-wrenching. More than 2.2 million children are acutely malnourished, and nearly 500,000 are on the brink of death. Hospitals are overwhelmed, understaffed, and underfunded. Cholera outbreaks further devastate communities with no access to clean water. Yet the fighting doesn't stop. The arms trade fuels the war, and peace talks repeatedly fail. Even humanitarian aid struggles to reach those in need, as roads are blocked and ports controlled by warring factions. The question haunting the world is this: how many more lives must be lost before Yemen's cries for help are answered? Lebanon, the Switzerland of the Middle East in ruins. Lebanon, once a hub of cultural vibrancy and financial stability, has now become a cautionary tale of systemic failure. Known as the Switzerland of the Middle East, the country boasted a robust banking sector, tourism industry, and a reputation for being a haven of peace amidst regional chaos. However, in 2019, Lebanon's financial system came crashing down. The central bank's default sent shockwaves through the nation, leading to massive devaluation of the Lebanese pound. Citizens were unable to access their life savings, and banks imposed strict withdrawal limits, effectively freezing the economy. The devastating Beirut port explosion in 2020 added salt to the wound, destroying vital infrastructure, killing over 200 people, and displacing thousands. Meanwhile, the government has been paralyzed by corruption and sectarian divides, unable to implement necessary reforms. Today, Lebanon faces crippling inflation, unemployment exceeding 40%, and a mass exodus of its skilled workforce. The cost of basic goods such as bread and fuel has skyrocketed, plunging many into poverty. Is there any hope left for Lebanon, or will this once prosperous nation continue its freefall? North Korea, an economic nightmare. North Korea has long been shrouded in secrecy, but the economic struggles of this hermit kingdom are no secret. Under heavy international sanctions, the country is cut off from global trade, relying almost exclusively on China for economic support. Despite facing severe poverty, the regime prioritizes military spending, especially its nuclear weapons program, over the welfare of its citizens. Millions of people live in extreme hardship, with chronic food shortages, leaving many malnourished. In rural areas, families survive on subsistence farming, while urban centers like Pyongyang remain reserved for the elite. The COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated the crisis. North Korea closed its borders, cutting off trade and aid, which further strained its already fragile economy. Black markets have become the primary means of survival for many, but even these face heavy crackdowns from the government. With increasing inequality and growing public dissatisfaction, could the internal cracks in the regime eventually lead to change, or will the leadership tighten its grip even further? Laos, debt and power shortages. Laos is a landlocked nation of stunning natural beauty and a rich cultural heritage. However, beneath its serene exterior lies a country drowning in debt. As part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, Laos has invested heavily in infrastructure projects, such as the Laos-China Railway, aimed at boosting regional connectivity. But these projects have come at a steep cost. The country's external debt has ballooned to over 65% of its GDP, much of it owed to China. To repay these loans, Laos has leased key assets, such as power plants and land, raising fears that it may lose sovereignty over critical infrastructure. Adding to its woes is an electricity crisis. Despite being one of Southeast Asia's largest exporters of hydropower, frequent blackouts plague the local population due to poor infrastructure and mismanagement. With limited economic diversification, Laos remains heavily reliant on tourism and agriculture, both of which have been severely impacted by the pandemic. The question remains, can Laos break free from this debt trap, or is it destined to become a client state of its powerful neighbor? Nepal, economic imbalance. Nestled between India and China, Nepal is a land of breathtaking mountains and spiritual allure. But behind the picturesque landscapes lies an economy on the brink of collapse. Tourism, a major source of income, was decimated by the COVID-19 pandemic, and while it has shown signs of recovery, it remains far from pre-pandemic levels. Remittances from Nepalese workers abroad constitute nearly 25% of the country's GDP. However, reliance on foreign labor exposes the economy to global fluctuations. A weak industrial base, coupled with rampant corruption and political instability, has left the country vulnerable to external shocks. A weak industrial base, coupled with rampant corruption and political instability, has left the country vulnerable to external shocks. Meanwhile, Nepal's geopolitical position between two giants, India and China, adds to its economic challenges. Both nations vie for influence, offering aid and investments, but these often come with strings attached. Can Nepal strike a balance between development and independence, or will it remain trapped in a cycle of dependence and stagnation? Maldives, paradise in peril. The Maldives, with its turquoise waters and white sandy beaches, is often seen as a tropical paradise. But behind the picture-perfect postcards lies a nation on the brink of environmental and economic disaster. Climate change poses an existential threat to this low-lying archipelago. Rising sea levels could submerge much of the Maldives within the next century, forcing its population to flee. Already, coastal erosion and saltwater intrusion are affecting agriculture and freshwater supplies. Economically, the Maldives is heavily dependent on tourism, which accounts for over 60% of its GDP. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed the vulnerability of this single-sector economy, with tourist arrivals plummeting and thousands losing their livelihoods. The government is also grappling with mounting debt, much of it owed to international lenders for infrastructure projects. Efforts to diversify the economy and fund climate resilience projects have been slow, leaving the Maldives in a precarious position. Can this island nation protect its unique beauty and secure its future? Or will it become a modern-day Atlantis swallowed by the sea? And there you have it, 10 nations grappling with some of the most daunting crises of our time. These are not just stories of despair, they are powerful reminders of the fragility of progress and the resilience of the human spirit. As we've seen, the threads connecting political instability, economic collapse, and environmental challenges weave a complex web. These crises are not isolated events, they are warning signs for us all. But here's the truth. Hope is not lost. Every small effort matters. Share these stories, raise awareness, and support global humanitarian efforts. Together, we can amplify their voices and contribute to change. If this video inspired you or made you think differently, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned for more videos as we continue to uncover untold stories from around the world. Remember, even in the darkest times, the light of hope shines brightest. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.